I'm 8 months into my gap year and it has changed my life completely, but not in the way that you may think. I haven't taken the traditional gap year route. I haven't been traveling. Well, I went to France for a little bit. I haven't been drinking and partying. I haven't been doing jobs to save up to go travel. I've been doing it the complete opposite way and the complete my way for myself. And I'm making this video to hopefully inspire someone to take the year to do something for them, to take the year to build awareness and to become the better version of themselves. And it's also kind of a checkpoint for me with the last bit of the gap year to go, that this is a point to motivate myself to push even harder and achieve even more in these next 4 months than I have in these 8 months coming. So let's get right into it. Before I talk about what I've been doing on my gap year and the lessons I would apply and recommend if you do take a year out, I want to talk about how I took why I'm on a gap year. Initially, I was supposed to go to a university in London called Queen Mary University, but I actually achieved way better in my A-levels than I expected, which led me to reapply to another university. And that took me to having a year out. And at the start, I was very skeptical. There might be people out there who are also very skeptical because I wasn't sure that I would have stuff to do. I would be too bored. I'd be lonely. I was uncertain. But another lesson I've learned is that when you are uncertain, that is where you start to develop and understand what is meant for you. You start to experience things that are molded and fit for you, if that's the right way of saying it, because you've been so certain in school in a certain way of living that when you step into uncertainty, you start to realize there's so much more out there. And this really helped push me forward this year because I had to go and experience things. Because I didn't want to do it the traditional way. I had to get myself out there and do stuff. And I also want to premise that this is not to say that I have not struggled during this year out. I have struggled a lot. I've had moments where I was questioning it all. I've had moments where I felt down, moments where I was struggling. But it's taught me so much. And in those moments, that is where you truly learn. In the moment, it might feel so intense, but that is where you learn. And I think when you go through school and university, you don't really have the time to really develop those skills of learning, reflecting, processing, and being in those uncertain moments because it's all put on a plate for you. So let's get into all the things I've done so far and the lessons you could apply if you go on a year out. The first lesson I want to give is taking a year out to build awareness. I was already an ambitious person. I already knew that I wanted to be a big time entrepreneur, a content creator, inspire others, do something amazing. And I know that is meant for me and I know that is me. And I think the gap year has been such a blessing because it has helped me build an awareness, meet other people, and develop a newfound perspective on life. And if you do take a year out, I highly recommend going to events. I've been to so many different events which have inspired me, pushed me forward, and understood what is possible. I recommend doing things like going to hotels and working in hotels to surround yourself with people that you get to know. I recommend contacting people on LinkedIn, emails, asking for calls with them, asking to get to know them. Doing your due diligence to find out what it is you might be inspired by, passionate about, because you may not know what you want to do. You may not know where that light fires you up. But the more you get yourself in environments that are going to give you that light and energy, the more you're more likely to find this. The second thing this year out has done for me, it has given me the ability to understand myself better. It has given me the ability to be alone. And at the start of the year, I really struggled with that. I really struggled with the fact that I had negative thoughts spiraling. I had all these things, uncertainty. And I still do struggle with it every now and then. But what I've learned and come to learn is that this is where, as I said before, this is where you generate the lessons. And when you're at school and university, you have everything coming up. You've got an exam next week that you know you have to go to. You have an exam next week that you know you have to prepare for. Whereas when you're on this gap year, or the way I've taken this gap year, not everything is mapped out for you. So you have to figure it out for yourself. And that leads you to feeling in a state where you're not sure. But in that state is where you find yourself. That is where you discover the things that you love. That is where you discover your passions. And I so highly recommend that you take this year to do so. The third thing is separating yourself with the bubble that you were in at school. I think when I was at school, I was so wrapped up in a bubble, which I'm not going to complain about because I love school so much. But I was wrapped up in a bubble that felt like the world was just the school and the place that I was in. And now that I've stepped out, I've understood that there is so much more greatness, so much more joy, so much more abundance out there, and things that are true blessings. I started making content. I started learning new skills. I started finding out the things that I was truly passionate about. And that's opened up so many more doors and so many more future doors I can walk through. I think the separation from the people that I used to be around and the separation from the environment that I used to be in has allowed me to, again, understand who I am, has allowed me to start to get to know myself. And at the start, I'll reiterate this. This is difficult because you're not used to that. You're not used to being alone all the time. You're not used to having to figure it out for yourself. But it's a muscle. You train it, you train it, you train it. And you develop and you get better. The fourth lesson is discovering your passions, discovering your energy, and discovering what makes you light up. This year has truly revolutionized what I've discovered or found within me about myself. I've discovered my passion for neuroscience. I've discovered my passion or rediscovered my passion for inspiring others, motivating others to become the best version of themselves. I've discovered my passion of sharing mindset, of being a deep thinker, of sharing different thoughts, of doing things like sharing my journal pieces, like meditating, like being reflective, like understanding myself better, like having a whole perspective on the world, the universe, all of these things. And I don't think I would have been able to discover this if I'd have gone straight into university and been 3 years in. So if you're thinking, what do I want to do in my life? And you're thinking about just jumping into a course that you have no idea that you want to do, I'd recommend take that year to do something for you. Start that business. Start making content. Start doing a job that you feel will push you forward. I currently work a job that I can do remotely that is an industry that I really enjoy. I get to meet big time entrepreneurs. I also make content on the side. I'm learning about neuroscience. I'm learning about so many other self-improvement or self-improvement concepts. I'm learning about mindset. I'm learning about spirituality. I'm learning about all these different things. And this year has allowed me to do so. This year has blessed me. And I always say the universe has divine timing. This was meant to happen. The universe put this situation in place for me. The universe always does it for you. It's just whether you take it or not. And maybe this is a sign from the universe for you to take that year, to build the business you've always been dreaming of, to share the messages you've always been wanting to share, to go and do the things you've always been wanting to do, or even just to discover yourself and discover the things that you do want to do. That's why I recommend a year out. I don't recommend a year out for drinking. I haven't drunk the whole year. I don't recommend a year out for going traveling necessarily for 6 months straight. I recommend a year out for understanding the world, for understanding yourself, for being uncertain, for not having tomorrow always mapped out, for having to build routine for yourself, for having to build discipline for yourself, for having to connect with people that you wouldn't have connected with before, to having to go out there and meet new people, to go to events, to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. That's what I recommend a year out for. And if you've reached this far in the video, drop me a message if you want any more advice. Drop me a message on Instagram and TikTok and I'll get back to you. And I want to make this video again in 4 months' time because I truly believe that my life is going to change completely in these 4 months. I'm putting it out there now that my life is going to change completely in these 4 months. And I believe that wholeheartedly. And this 8 months so far has inspired me to understand the possibility, to understand what is out there for me, and to understand that the world is so abundant, the universe is so abundant. And I want that for you too.